There's one thing that separates those who live with purpose and those who live on autopilot intention. When we wake up each day without a clear destination, we become victims of distraction, doubt, and delay. But when we move with intent, when we set real goals and align our actions, we become unstoppable. This year is your opportunity to close the gap between who you are and who you're meant to become, not through luck, not through comfort, but through discipline, clarity, and conscious effort. So today, I'm going to walk you through 8 goals that will challenge you, strengthen you, and prepare you to lead your own life on your terms. 1. Master your morning routine. The day doesn't begin when your alarm goes off. It begins the night before with the decision to own tomorrow. Create a morning that fuels your focus. Wake up before the world distracts you. Meditate, reflect, train, read, whatever aligns your mind with your mission. When you control your morning, you control your momentum. 2. Set one physical goal and crush it. Your body is your foundation. It holds your energy, your confidence, your resilience. This year, push yourself physically. Whether it's building strength, running a marathon, or simply showing up to move every single day, commit to it. Because when the body grows stronger, so does the mind. 3. Read one book a month. You cannot grow without learning, and you cannot lead without understanding. One book a month might seem small, but that's 12 new perspectives in a year, 12 mindsets that challenge you, provoke you, shape you. Leaders are readers, period. 4. Cut out one toxic habit. We all have something that's been silently draining us. It could be procrastination, complaining, or spending hours on mindless scrolling. Identify it, confront it, replace it. Because progress isn't always about doing more. It's also about eliminating what holds us back. 5. Set boundaries around your time. If you don't protect your time, others will waste it for you. This year, define what matters. Say no without guilt. Choose deep work over distractions. Don't just be busy, be intentional. Your calendar is your reflection. Make sure it aligns with your values. 6. Build one skill that scares you. Growth is not found in comfort zones. It lives in the spaces where your hands shake and your heart races. Whether it's public speaking, learning a new language, or launching that side project, do something that stretches you. Because every breakthrough begins with a risk. 7. Create a system of accountability. Goals without accountability are just dreams. Surround yourself with people who don't flatter you, but challenge you. Write down your goals. Review them weekly. Track your progress. Motivation fades. Systems win. 8. Serve something bigger than yourself. Purpose is not found in what you get. It's found in what you give. Find a cause. Mentor someone. Volunteer your time. Use your voice for something meaningful. Because the most fulfilled people aren't those who chase success, but those who live with significance. You see, this year isn't about making resolutions. It's about building a lifestyle. It's about choosing purpose over comfort, discipline over distraction, and legacy over ego. You're not here to play small. You're here to rise. So set these goals, live them, own them, and when this year ends, don't look back with regret. Look back and realize you became the person you were always meant to be. 5 keynotes from the speech. Structure creates strength. A disciplined morning routine anchors the rest of the day. Progress requires sacrifice. Growth isn't just about addition, it's about elimination. Your body is your edge. Physical discipline empowers mental resilience. Comfort zones kill potential. Lean into fear to discover real transformation. Purpose leads the way. The deepest goals serve something greater than the self. Structure creates strength. That's not just a motivational phrase. It's a fundamental truth of success. When your life lacks structure, your focus drifts, your habits weaken, and your progress slows. But when you introduce deliberate structure into your day, especially in your morning, you send a message to yourself and to the world: I am in control. And there is nothing more powerful than starting your day with that kind of clarity and confidence. Too often, we treat mornings like an afterthought. We wake up reactive, scrolling through notifications, checking emails, and consuming other people's priorities before we've even taken care of our own. The problem isn't technology. The problem is timing. The first 60 minutes of your day are sacred. They are the foundation that shapes the tone of everything that follows. If you spend your morning scattered and distracted, your entire day will feel that way. But if you spend your morning aligned, focused, and energized, you'll carry that power into every conversation, every challenge, and every decision. The truth is you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. A structured morning is a system. It doesn't require you to be perfect. It requires you to be consistent. You don't need to get up at 4 a.m. or follow a 10-step miracle routine. What you need is intention. You need a rhythm that grounds you. For some, that might be exercise. For others, it might be journaling, meditation, or learning. The point isn't what you do, it's why you do it. If the first thing you do in the morning gives you clarity, energy, and purpose, then you're building a structure that empowers you to win the day. Now think about high performers across any field, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. What separates them isn't just talent, it's preparation. And that preparation often starts long before the world is watching. Champions are not made in the spotlight. They are made in silence, in solitude, in those early hours where discipline shows up long before motivation does. Your morning is your silent preparation. It's your chance to remind yourself of your mission, to get one step ahead of your fears, and to build momentum while others are still asleep or lost in distraction. Structure also removes decision fatigue. When you have a set routine in the morning, you don't waste energy deciding what to do next. That mental clarity becomes an advantage. Instead of starting your day in chaos, you start with purpose. Instead of reacting to the world, you respond from a grounded place. That kind of clarity becomes contagious. It influences how you lead, how you speak, how you perform. People can sense when you're grounded. And it starts with how you begin your day. But here's what most people miss. Structure doesn't restrict your freedom. It creates it. Without structure, your life is governed by randomness. You're constantly catching up, reacting, firefighting. But with structure, you gain time, you gain energy, you gain control. And when you control your time and energy, you free yourself to do what matters most. So when we say structure creates strength, it's because structure gives you the ability to show up as your strongest self again and again. It's not about rigidity. It's about rhythm. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. That's the kind of strength that lasts. That's the kind of strength that transforms not just your day, but your life. Your body is your foundation. It's the first place where discipline takes shape and the clearest reflection of how seriously you take your own potential. When you commit to a physical goal, you're not just improving your health, you're developing your ability to stay consistent, endure discomfort, and push through resistance. These are the same traits required for any form of success, whether it's in leadership, relationships, or purpose-driven work. That's why setting one physical goal and committing to it with everything you've got is one of the most powerful moves you can make this year. When you challenge yourself physically, you invite struggle, and in that struggle, growth is born. The gym, the track, the field, these aren't just places for workouts. They're training grounds for your mindset. Every time you feel the burn and keep going, every time you want to quit and push forward instead, you're not just strengthening muscles, you're strengthening your will. You're learning to stay committed when it's hard, to show up when you don't feel like it, and to honor the promises you've made to yourself. That kind of discipline is rare. That kind of discipline is transformational. People often look at physical goals as surface level pursuits: lose weight, build muscle, look good. But that's only scratching the surface. The deeper reason behind a physical goal is identity. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of change, that you can stick to a plan, and that you are worthy of investing in your own potential. It's about showing up not for applause, not for comparison, but for self-respect. When you honor your body, you begin to reclaim power over the parts of your life that have felt out of control. You stop living passively and start living intentionally. Setting a physical goal also builds momentum in every other area of your life. When you train consistently, your energy improves, your focus sharpens, your sleep gets better, your confidence rises, and that energy ripples into your work, your decisions, your relationships. You don't just perform better, you feel better. You become someone who moves with purpose, not just someone who exists out of habit. Physical discipline becomes a signal that you're not here to waste time, you're here to elevate. And the best part, you don't need to be an athlete to start, you just need to be committed. Your goal could be to run a 5K, to walk 10,000 steps a day, to stretch every morning, to lift consistently 3 times a week. What matters is that it challenges you. What matters is that it forces you to grow. Because growth is never convenient. It demands effort. It demands repetition. And the body is the perfect place to practice that. It doesn't lie. It doesn't fake progress. It reflects exactly what you've put into it. There will be days you don't want to show up. Days you feel sore, tired, unmotivated. Those are the most important days. Because how you train on those days is how you build resilience. When you push through on the hard days, you prove to yourself that your goals are stronger than your excuses. And that mindset will serve you everywhere. In business, in leadership, in life, you'll begin to carry yourself differently. Not because of how you look, but because of how you've earned it. You'll speak differently, not because of what others see, but because of what you now believe about yourself. A physical goal isn't just about strength. It's about commitment. It's about choosing progress over perfection, effort over ease, growth over comfort. And in the process, you don't just change your body, you change your habits, you change your self-image, you change your standard. Because when you train the body, you train the mind. And when the mind is strong, there is nothing you cannot face. You cannot grow without learning. And you cannot lead without understanding. The most successful people, those who inspire, influence, and innovate, are not just doers. They are thinkers. They are constantly absorbing, reflecting, and evolving. One of the most accessible yet underrated ways to expand your mind and sharpen your perspective is by reading. Committing to read 1 book a month may sound like a small step, but it's a powerful one, because what you feed your mind consistently becomes the foundation for how you think, how you speak, and how you act. Books are more than pages and print. They are experiences. They are conversations with the greatest minds, the deepest thinkers, and the most courageous leaders. Within every book is a lifetime of knowledge, mistakes, lessons, strategies, reflections that you can access in a matter of days. When you read, you are not just gaining information, you are learning how to think more critically, how to communicate more clearly, and how to make decisions with greater insight. You are building an inner library of wisdom that no one can ever take from you. Reading challenges your assumptions. It stretches your worldview. It puts you face to face with ideas you've never considered, cultures you've never lived, and solutions you've never imagined. That kind of mental expansion isn't just valuable, it's necessary in a world that is constantly changing. When you stop learning, you stop adapting. And when you stop adapting, you become irrelevant. Leaders can't afford that. Innovators can't afford that. Anyone who wants to make an impact in the world cannot afford to stand still intellectually. There's also a deeper, more personal impact. Reading develops patience, focus, and self-discipline. In a world obsessed with short-form content and instant gratification, the act of sitting down with a book and immersing yourself in a single narrative is rare. But it's in that stillness that clarity is born. You begin to think more deeply, not just about the content of the book, but about your own life, your beliefs, your goals, your behaviors. Books hold up a mirror, and the more you read, the more honest that reflection becomes. When you commit to reading 1 book a month, you create a rhythm of reflection. You are no longer just reacting to life. You are equipping yourself to respond with wisdom. You begin to speak with more depth. You carry yourself with more thoughtfulness. You enter conversations not just with opinions, but with perspective. That makes you a better leader, a better teammate, a better thinker, And it doesn't matter what kind of books you read, biographies, psychology, philosophy, personal development, as long as they make you better, they are worth your time. One book a month equals 12 books a year. That's 12 lives you've studied, 12 subjects you've explored, 12 opportunities to think in a way you didn't think before. The compound effect of that kind of learning is massive. Over time, you begin to notice that your thoughts are more structured, your ideas are more original, and your ability to contribute to any discussion is significantly elevated. You don't just become more informed, you become more impactful. Reading is also one of the most personal forms of growth because it's a choice. No one forces you to pick up a book. You do it because you care about your growth. And that decision, repeated monthly, becomes part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to grow and start seeing yourself as someone who is growing. That mindset shift changes everything. Because once you see yourself as a learner, you never stop seeking. You never stop evolving. You never stop pushing yourself to the next level. And that's where real transformation begins. We all carry habits that slowly, silently hold us back. Some of them are obvious: scrolling endlessly on social media, procrastinating, skipping workouts, staying up late with no purpose. Others are more subtle: doubting ourselves, comparing our journey to others, speaking negatively about our abilities, or saying yes when we really mean no. These habits don't just waste time. They erode confidence, steal focus, and weaken our momentum. That's why setting the goal to cut out one toxic habit this year is not just helpful. It's essential for your personal transformation. Eliminating one toxic habit doesn't mean you have to overhaul your life overnight. It means you choose one thing that, deep down is not serving your growth, and you decide to remove it with discipline and intention. This is powerful because it forces you to become aware. Most people don't change because they never slow down long enough to identify what's hurting them. They normalize dysfunction. They become so used to their own patterns that they forget those patterns are choices. When you consciously look at your habits and say, this is hurting me more than helping me, you take back control. Cutting out a toxic habit is difficult because those habits are usually tied to comfort. They give us short-term relief, distraction, or escape, but growth demands the opposite of comfort. It demands awareness. It demands action. That moment when you decide to confront a behavior that no longer aligns with who you want to be, that's a moment of power. Because in that moment, you're no longer being driven by autopilot. You're choosing to become someone who honors discipline over desire. You're choosing to face yourself with honesty instead of denial. There's another reason why this goal matters. Subtraction creates space. When you eliminate a toxic habit, you don't just remove something bad, you make room for something better. Cutting out mindless scrolling opens up time for reading, planning, or creating. Eliminating late nights filled with distractions opens space for peaceful mornings filled with clarity. Dropping the habit of negative self-talk clears space for confidence and courage. Sometimes growth is not about adding more to your life. It's about removing what's been weighing you down without you even realizing it. This process also teaches you resilience. There will be urges. There will be moments when you're tempted to fall back into old behaviors. But every time you resist the temptation and make a better choice, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your impulses. You begin to rebuild trust with yourself, which is the foundation of self-respect. You don't need anyone's validation when you know that you're living in alignment with the best version of yourself. That internal power becomes unshakable. What makes this goal transformative is how specific it is. It's not vague. It doesn't depend on circumstances or motivation. It's a clear daily choice. Identify the habit, prepare for the triggers, and replace the behavior with something meaningful. And it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up consistently with the intention to be better than you were yesterday. You'll stumble. You'll have setbacks. But if you stay committed to breaking that one toxic pattern, the ripple effect will change everything around you. Most people live stuck because they try to build a better life on top of broken foundations. But when you remove even one self-sabotaging habit, you start to clear the path. You start to build strength where there was once weakness. You create alignment where there was once confusion. You begin to feel proud of your choices, not ashamed of them. That kind of inner alignment creates energy, purpose, and momentum. And once you taste that, you'll never want to go back, because nothing feels better than knowing you are no longer the person who lets old habits decide your future. Time is one of the most valuable resources you have, and yet it's the one most people give away without even realizing it. Every minute of your day is a choice, and those choices build your future. When you don't set boundaries around your time, you invite chaos, distraction, and burnout. You allow other people's urgency to become your priority. You end up being busy instead of being intentional. That's why setting boundaries around your time is not just a productivity tactic. It's an act of self-respect and leadership. You have 24 hours in a day, just like everyone else. The difference between those who thrive and those who stay stuck is how they use those hours. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. Without boundaries, your calendar becomes a dumping ground for other people's demands. Your energy gets drained by meaningless tasks, pointless meetings, and conversations that lead nowhere. You lose track of your own goals because you're constantly reacting to someone else's schedule. But when you begin to take your time seriously, everything changes. You stop saying yes out of guilt or fear, and you start saying yes only to what aligns with your mission. Boundaries aren't about being selfish. They're about being strategic. They allow you to protect your most focused hours, to carve out time for deep work, and to be present in your relationships without feeling pulled in 100 directions. When you create space on your calendar, you create space in your mind. You reduce the noise. You eliminate the clutter. You give yourself room to think, to create, to grow. And that space is where clarity is born. You begin to move through life with more calm, more control, and more confidence. It takes courage to set boundaries, especially if you've spent most of your life pleasing others or avoiding conflict. But every time you honor your schedule, every time you say no to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you reinforce your own value. You send a message to yourself and to the world: my time is important and I will not waste it. That kind of mindset doesn't just make you more productive. It makes you more powerful, because power isn't about control over others. It's about control over your own life. The first step in setting boundaries is clarity. You have to know what matters to you. You have to be clear on your values, your goals, your non-negotiables. When you know what you're working toward, it becomes easier to recognize what doesn't belong. You stop filling your schedule out of habit or pressure, and you start filling it with intention. You begin to design your days around what fuels you, not what drains you. You'll notice resistance when you begin setting boundaries, sometimes from others, but often from within. You'll feel the urge to explain, to justify, to apologize. But the truth is, you don't need permission to protect your time. You don't need validation to focus on what's right for you. People who respect you will understand. People who don't were never meant to control your time in the first place. You are not responsible for managing their expectations. You're responsible for managing your energy. Once you begin protecting your time, you'll notice a shift. You'll stop feeling overwhelmed by everything that needs to get done, and you'll start moving with precision. Your to-do list won't just be a pile of tasks. It will be a map to your vision. You'll begin to recognize that being busy isn't the goal. Being effective is. And effectiveness requires discipline, intention, and boundaries. Time is not just passing. It's being invested. Every meeting, every conversation, every task is an investment in your future. If you don't set boundaries, you risk spending your time on what's urgent instead of what's important. But when you do set boundaries, you become the architect of your life, not just as a participant in it. You stop chasing balance and you start creating alignment, and that's where real progress begins. The goals you set for yourself are not just checkboxes on a list. They are the blueprint for the person you are becoming. Each goal we've explored, structuring your mornings, strengthening your body, feeding your mind, eliminating toxic habits, and protecting your time, represents more than discipline. They represent identity. They reflect your commitment to growth, your hunger for clarity, and your refusal to live life on autopilot. This year is not going to reward the one who works the hardest without direction. It's going to reward the one who works with intention, who wakes up every day and chooses to grow, even when it's inconvenient, who says no to what distracts and yes to what builds, who shows up not just for results, but for personal evolution. Because when you commit to becoming better, everything around you begins to change. Your energy, your mindset, your relationships, your impact. Real transformation doesn't come from motivation. It comes from consistency. It comes from choosing what's right over what's easy over and over again. And the beauty of it is you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. One goal at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. That's how you build a life you're proud of. That's how you become unstoppable. Not someday, but this year.